It's not a question that's asked very often, but it's one we're going to answer in this video. Do you actually need a music video? The answer to the question, really, is yes. But in kind of what situation? Because there's a lot of artists that will just make music videos and there's no kind of strategy behind it. Generally, we would recommend, if you've got a single coming out, maybe have a music video for it. If you've got an EP coming out, pick a song, maybe a song that's got more of a story to it, maybe a song that's the best song on the EP, the album, whatever, and make a music video to it. Use a music video to promote something else, whether that's promoting a single, promoting an album, promoting a tour. Use this product to promote other things. Generally, that's a good thing to do. It's kind of a marketing tool. It sounds a bit music industry bollocks, but use it as a marketing tool because it works. It's also a really good way of getting discovered. Loads of people are searching for music on YouTube, on Vimeo, on Vivo, so being on it with an actual video rather than just your artwork is massively helpful. And it can look quite good. So let's jump into it a little bit. Do you want to go professional or kind of amateur? The obvious thing here is go professional. But it's not that easy because it's quite expensive, and I get it, you probably haven't got a great deal of money. Most bands don't. So the kind of compromise that you can do is, if you want in kind of a big shoot, lots of locations, each location is going to ramp the price up. It's not great to have a very expensive shoot, but if you want loads of locations, that's just going to be something that you have to do. So maybe you'd have to go with an amateur video maker, someone local, someone who is starting out. A lot of light coming through. So maybe that's kind of a choice that you have to make, is if you're wanting lots of locations for your video shoot, maybe you would actually have to go with a less professional, or at least less experienced cinematographer, video maker, whatever. Whereas if you, say, only had one location, so that's less time shooting, less days editing, in theory, then you could pay the same amount for someone who's actually more experienced because you're using less of their time. That's just something worth thinking about, and there is no right answer whether to go professional or amateur. But the end product might actually be better with one location from a professional rather than a bigger shoot from someone who's less experienced. It's just worth thinking about. The next big question is, do you have a narrative video or do you have a performance video? There is no right answer. Once again, that's good. There's a lot of this is just down to taste or opinion, but it's a big debate really between narrative versus performance, because ideally a band needs at least one performance video so that you can see what the band looks like. If you're listening to their music, a good way to see what the band actually looks like and performs like and what vibes they have, a good way of seeing that is through a performance video. That being just a band performing to a camera. No glitz, no glamour, no story, no anything, just performance. That's arguably boring, would you say? I mean, I think we've had this conversation before that performance videos are a little bit boring.
Yeah, like you see them all the time, like 3/4 of music videos are performance videos.
It's the fallback, it's the generic music video. Not to say that that's necessarily a bad thing, but it's not as interesting as a narrative video. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the more locations that you have, the more expensive the video shoot is going to be. And with a narrative, naturally that's going to call for more locations. You're going to need to tell a story, and it's harder to tell a story in just one place. So again, what your budget is may come into this. If you've got a bigger budget, you can probably afford to go to multiple locations, have a big narrative in there. But the fallback from that is, if you want a narrative video, because you want that kind of wow, you want that kind of production value, you want something that's not just a boring performance video. What are you smiling at?
Flashing again.
If you want that kind of production value, if you want that wow, that pizzazz or whatever, what you could do is do a performance video, but add kind of a gimmick to it. An example of this is a video that I shot for Joe's band. We shot performances, but we also kind of told a story. It was in one location, we told everything using fire, and it was kind of almost symbolic with a lot of...
Would you say there was a story?
I'm not going to say that... See, I wouldn't call it a narrative video, which is why I probably would call it a performance video.
It is a performance, but it's not a musical performance.
That's
because
true.
you can have a performance video that isn't using instruments.
That's true. And you also did use your instruments in it. There were instruments in it.
Think about the. I know it's a bit poppy, but the Sia video where they have the the dance or whatever.
Yeah.
That's a performance video.
Yeah, that's true, and that's all in one location. That's worth thinking about. That whether it was me shooting this kind of old school 90s looking video with fire, or shooting a dance video, which also I've now done, it's lower production costs, but it adds that kind of production value to your video that maybe you're wanting and can't achieve with a narrative because of obviously it's a lot more expensive. Another thing that you could do playing on the idea of kind of adding a gimmick to a performance is having a performance video that's in slow motion. I've done that. Having some form of one location that is very stylized, whether that is a video in the back of a truck that is just you performing, or in a factory, or green screened. I don't know, just something that kind of adds a bit of, that's a bit different, rather than you just performing in a pub and it looking like you just filmed a gig. Because that's a little bit boring. It's not overly interesting to watch. So having that kind of interesting location or just a gimmick to the video itself can add that wow without actually spending much effort on story or characters or that kind of shit. That being said, if you've got the time and effort and the money to make a proper story and tell it well, by all means do it. Add in the extra shit in as well, like cool performances or whatever, into a video like that. Just ramps up the production value even more. It's just a question of how much time or money you're willing to put into something that'll take it from boring performance video in a pub to narrative video with dancers and performances and whatever every pop video ever currently has. The last question is, should you make your own video DIY? Maybe. The actual question here is, do you have the time to do it justice? Do you have the time to learn how to edit, how to be a cinematographer, how to color grade? Because if you do have the time and you're interested in making videos, but you don't really know what you're doing yet, spend a few months, 2, 3 months, 4 months, every day looking at video tutorials, looking at what experts are saying, looking at behind the scenes of other videos, and just learn the basics of what it takes to make that final product that you want. Maybe shoot some trial videos while you're learning, and then in a kind of short space of time, you could get yourself to the standard where you're making a video that justifies the idea that you've got. That's totally feasible. Every video I've ever made is technically DIY. I've had help. Sometimes Joe's come on a shoot with me and held a light or orchestrated this little thing. But on the whole, everything that I've made has been DIY. I've got better each time and I've learnt things each time. But the first video that I made properly, which was coming up on 2 years ago, I'd been doing filmmaking and learning that kind of stuff for like 5 or 6 years prior to that. So you've got to have that mindset of being able to admit that you're going to be a bit shit for a while. We've said that with music all the time. You've got to admit that the first few things that you make aren't going to be as good as you want them to be. I'm not trying to turn you off from doing anything DIY. If anything, I'm trying to encourage it. Do try and make your own music videos. But if your first few are going to be a bit shit, maybe plan ahead on that so that in a year's time you're like, right, we're going to have a music video and we're going to make it ourselves and it's going to be like this and it's going to be awesome. So for the next year, let's make a load of music videos that are really shit and we don't put them out. There's a lot of things, especially in terms of music videos, that I think I could teach and could help with. So would you, Mr. or Mrs. Viewer, like a series on it? Would you like a series on the basics of DIY music video making? I think I've got enough footage and stuff from music videos that I can probably teach quite well the things that I think you could do with learning just before you jump into making your own videos. Just a few basic principles, or just, look out for this, maybe don't do this, try this, that kind of thing. If you're interested in making videos and would like me to help you make those videos, let me know and maybe we'll make it a series. You may have noticed that videos have been a little bit sparse for the past month or so. So we a year ago said we're going to make 2 videos a week. And then a month ago we went down to 1 video a week. And I don't believe it's been mentioned. We did film a video where it was mentioned, but that video has been scrapped. So that video no longer exists. And that was why there now hasn't been a video for 2 weeks because we went down to 1 video a week and then last video.
We shot a video and it was shit, so we didn't put it out.
Yeah, that. So last week there wasn't a video at all. So sorry about that, but we're working on some really cool stuff at the moment and we can't tell you about it yet, but it's awesome, I promise. And it's taking up a lot of time and I have less time to edit and film and all that kind of shit. So we apologise. The folder for the review series is getting quite full. So we are going to do something about it and hopefully the production quality of these videos has gone up a little bit. That was the aim. Don't know. Either way, I'd say check out more from this series, but that's what I want to know. Do you want me to actually make this a series? So on the screen right now is our best of playlist. If you want to see our best of videos, go click on it. And I guess we'll see you next week.